Alright, what I have here is a set of 3 4-shooter bumper buoys with Sportdog electronics on them. These are real good training tools to teach a puppy to be steady, to go long, to do multiple marks, diversions on the way to a blind if you want to move up to advanced training. I've used these for 17 years, since 2003 when I first started training dogs. I've trained a lot of master hunter dogs with these bumper buoy units, and I've trained a lot of hunter retriever champion dogs. I've got one that's SRS placement, qualified all age, and then my old dog Thunder went in the Master National Hall of Fame, and we train almost exclusively with bumper buoys. I'm going to show you what they look like and how to work them, and then we're going to fire them off here in just a minute. I'm going to show you how to load this. Actually, it's pretty simple, and the whole time that you're using your bumper buoys here, I want you to treat them like you have a loaded firearm, because in essence that's what you do. I've got 4 firing chambers underneath here. Each one of them shoots a separate bumper. The way you load these is push the lever so the firing mechanism comes down and you have access to the chamber where the bullet goes in. I use the 22 blanks, the yellow tips. You buy them from Home Depot, Lowe's, any hardware store, any construction site like that. I use the yellow ones because I get plenty of range, and then they don't necessarily split after you use them, and they're easy to retrieve and reload. So what you do is you take your 22 blank shell, slide it right in the chamber, make sure that the cocking arm on the servo is opened up so it's not touching the firing pin, and close it up. Move down to the next one, insert it, make sure your firing pin's off, close it up. And this one, and this one. Now we're ready to shoot after we pair our receiver with our transmitter and then load our bumpers up. So I have my bumpers on my bumper buoy, all 4 of them. I'm loaded on the inside here, so I'm getting ready to start to operate this. I want to pair this as unit number 1. On my transmitter, I've got unit number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. You can actually operate 4 receivers off of this same transmitter. I'm going to pair this to be number 1. Push the button on the top down and hold it down 4 or 5 seconds. Okay, there's a P in my digital box here. I think you can see that. There's the P right there. That means we're going to program it. Okay, I want this to be number 1. So on my transmitter, I'm going to push the top button. My P is flashing and it stopped flashing. Now I want to make sure I got it on number 1. The right hand row of buttons is for sound, the left hand is for launch. So just to make sure I've got it right, I'm going to push the sound button, and I've got my duck call. So I'm sure that that one's on number 1. I'm going to load up number 2 and number 3, and then we're going to shoot them off here in just a minute. Alright, so I've got all 3 of these paired. Number 1, number 2, number 3. I'm going to show you how to arm them right now before I take them out to the field, because I think we've got a pretty good spot here that I can do that from. I don't ever travel with them with the bumper buoys cocked and armed. Real simple to arm. First thing you want to do is make sure that you have your trigger pulled back so that it's not against the firing pin. And then you simply pull back the cocking arm, listen for the click. When you hear that click, you know that it's ready to shoot. Moving way ahead in here now, in your training session, if you don't use all of your bumpers, you want to open it up, then manually push the trigger. That puts the safety on so that it's not going to fire while you're in transit. I never run in the four-wheeler with these things in the armed cock position. Okay, I've got my bumper boy set out here in my training yard where I do a lot of my puppy work. We're about 90 yards away, and all three of them are set pretty close to each other. But when you get into doing advanced work, or you want to teach multiples, or you want to teach different marks, of course you move your bumper boys as far apart and put them wherever you want them. I'm going to fire these off to show you what they look like out here in the field. The dogs really like this, and I think we'll be able to pick the sound up on the camera, but the dogs hear it for sure. One way to teach your dog to be steady, especially for AKC type tests, is when they hear the quack. Right there, I'm quacked it, that you can use your electronic collar to reinforce sit, or you can have your hand on the check cord with the dog and not let the dog go until you're ready for the dog to go. So we tell the dog to mark, quack, 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 shoot one off, bumper hits, and go. Okay, puppy gets out there, picks it up, brings it back, everybody's happy. For some reason, if the dog doesn't pick it up, you put it in heavy cover, you didn't get it marked or whatever, move your transmitter up to number 2, help the dog out, and you can help him out with a quack, quack, quack like you got a bird boy, or you can fire another one off, and he's going to go over there and pick it up. So let's assume that we've picked that mark up just fine. We want to move down to another mark, which would be off of launcher number 2. So I'm going to quack, quack, quack that one, shoot it off. Same type deal there. And so we've successfully retrieved mark number 2, and we're going to go to mark number 3. Quack, 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 quack. And there goes mark number 3. Simple as that. Okay, so while we're training Champ, for some reason we don't want that mark to go as far as we just shot it. So I take a piece of PVC. Let me get out here, let me zoom out here a little bit so you can see it. Take a piece of PVC pipe, slide it over the tube, and you can shorten your throw up to as short as you want it. And I've done that in between times here, so we'll zoom back out. Now remember, this mark here went angled back left to right and landed up there on my driveway. I put the PVC on it, and we'll see if this doesn't shorten it up quite a little bit. Quack, 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 mark, sit, shoot. Shot about half the distance as it did before. And there we go, another one right in the same spot. So you get a lot of variability if you want to, as far as putting your mark right where you want it. In the corner of a pond, in a cove, in a ditch, in a certain piece of cover. Use that PVC as your distance variable on it, and you can really get a lot of good work done with it. Okay, we've shot our marks off. We're ready to picking them up or reload and move to a different spot. You can see on this one here how I had the PVC pipe on it to shorten it down. I'm going to take those off. I'm going to turn my unit so I can get to the bottom of it. Turn it off, push the button down, hold it till it turns off. There we go, we're off. Release the latch. Open the trigger up. Release the latch. Pull the trigger mechanism back so it's not touching the firing arm. Do that on all 4 of them. That's the most important thing you want to do. You don't want to load that thing back up with your trigger attached to the firing arm, because when you cock it, it's going to shoot. That could be dangerous. So after you have them opened up, you push down on it and the 22 shell comes out. Discard it. Once in a while the shell will split because of the compression inside the chamber there. I always keep a set of needle nose pliers with me. Okay, I had the transmitter in my pocket. I didn't have the other one turned off, and I just fired one of the other ones next to me. That's why you got to be real careful with these things. Grab the shell with the rim of the shell with the needle nose pliers, pull it out, and then same thing on the bottom. So we've got them all empty now. We've got all the firing pins safe. You're ready to set off another set of marks. You get your 22 blanks. Set them in there again. Make sure it's safe with the firing arm back. Close it up. Close it up. Put your bumpers back on. Relocate to wherever you want to go. Turn it on, cock it. You're ready to roll again. You get a lot of work done with these things in a little bit of time once you learn how to operate them. Now I haven't fired off all the bumpers on this unit yet, and I don't ever like to travel with them when they're in the cocked and armed position. So before I travel, before I move, I open it up, and then you can see right on top here while it's open, push the firing pin, and the trigger goes, and the firing and the arming mechanism goes down, so now it's safe to travel with. Got one more to do that with over here. Open it up, push that, close it back up. Now it's safe to go. Here. Sit. Mark. Sit. Tiger. All those are real good long throws. Simulate a flyer in a test. Make the dog get out there and mark the bird, not mark the holding blind or the gunner. This one went behind that tree that he was just at. Didn't see it hit the ground, but this is good to teach a dog to get out there to hunt and to mark. There he goes. Attaboy. Good dog, good dog. Good dog, good. Good. Here he is. Sit. Drop. Up, up, up. And there you have him, Bumper Boys in the field.